It was just before 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. on December 6th last year. A woman in Cobb County, Georgia, the suburbs of Atlanta, called 911.
I've been having terroristic threats. I've been having harassing phone calls and emails, and they came out and made a police report yesterday. And last night, about 10 minutes after 9, somebody was banging on the door, and now somebody's banging on the door again. Oh, they screaming. He's still banging on the door.
Okay.
He's still banging on the door. Lord Jesus, where's the police?
They are on the way, ma'am.
Oh, God.
The woman on the receiving end of those threats, that vitriol, that in-person intimidation, was not a public figure. She's a 62-year-old retiree who ran a little boutique business selling fashion accessories. But then President Donald Trump accused her personally, by name, of stealing the presidential election from him in Georgia. That 911 call is featured in the latest installment of the incredible ongoing Reuters series, excuse me, on threats and harassment against election officials and election workers in the wake of the 2020 election. This latest reporting zooms in and tells the story of two specific elections workers, Ruby Freeman, who's the woman who you heard on that 911 call, and her daughter. Ms. Freeman's daughter is an elections worker in Fulton County in metro Atlanta. She'd asked her mom, Ruby, to sign up as a temp worker to help process ballots on Election Day. And the two of them worked with other election workers through that day and night, processing ballots at Atlanta's State Farm Arena. But in the aftermath of the election, as President Trump and his supporters set to work trying to overturn Biden's win in Georgia, one of the things they did was they took a clip from the surveillance video at the State Farm Arena on election night, a clip that happened to show Ruby Freeman and her daughter just doing their jobs, not doing anything wrong. But Donald Trump and his lawyers started telling everybody that really what you could see happening in that clip, if you looked at it right, was you could see Ruby Freeman and her daughter stealing the election right there on that videotape. Trump lawyers showed the video to Georgia Republican legislators. They gave it to right-wing news outlets. They told them that what was seen in the video was these two women counting suitcases full of illegal ballots. Mr. Sean Hannity ran with the video clip on Fox News, and almost immediately a right-wing website identified Ruby Freeman and her daughter by name. President Trump himself played the video on a massive jumbotron at a post-election rally in Georgia, saying it showed these women committing a crime. And then, remember that insane phone call in which Trump tried to pressure Georgia's Secretary of State into finding just enough votes to overturn Biden's win and declare him the victor? Trump used Ruby Freeman's name in that call 18 times. He called her a professional vote scammer and a hustler. She runs a fashion accessories business. She's a retiree. She came in as a temp worker, as an election worker. After that call, the head of the elections in Fulton County said the harassment of these two women got even worse. Quote, and it just kept going. Well, now a new lawsuit the women have filed against the right-wing website that first publicly identified them. In that lawsuit, they claim that at least on two occasions, strangers showed up at the home of one of their relatives and tried to push into the house to make a citizen's arrest. Also, on January 6th, at the same time Trump supporters were in D.C. attacking the U.S. Capitol, a crowd in suburban Atlanta was attacking Ruby Freeman's house. They surrounded her house on foot and in vehicles, shouting at her through a bullhorn. By then, thankfully, Ms. Freeman herself had fled her house for an undisclosed location. She fled on the advice of the FBI. She did not return home for 2 months. Her daughter changed her appearance dramatically and avoided going out in public. Ms. Freeman closed her business. It's the stuff of nightmares. I mean, you're going about your life, you're doing your civic duty, and you have your whole world turned upside down because the President of the United States and his supporters have decided that you're going to be their punching bag. You're going to be their boogeyman in this effort to create this fantasy of the stolen election so he can try to cling to power. In the process, Fulton County, Georgia became what Reuters calls, quote, a hotbed of threats against election workers. How do you operate a democracy in this atmosphere of threat? Fulton County, Georgia is also the place where most Democrats are in the state of Georgia. If operating an election in Fulton County is now a hotbed of threats against the people who are running those elections, how do you, I don't know, get out the vote under those conditions? How do you get people to volunteer to work at the polls?